This video is brought to you by our friends at Notion. I've been making iPad how-to videos for seniors and beginners for a few years now. And while I know everyone is different, I've come to the conclusion that there are a few things that anyone can do that'll make using the iPad a more enjoyable experience. In this short video, I share 7 easy-to-follow tips on how to get the most out of your iPad. Hi, my name is Rich. In today's video, I'm going to cover handy swipe gestures you really need to know, how to clean up your dock and remove the clutter just so things aren't confusing, how to add handy widgets to your home screen, how to customize your lock screen, how to customize the Today view, which is so rarely used, but a really nice feature, how to make sure your iPad software is up to date, and the best place to start with one of my favorite tools, the Apple Pencil. All right, let's get started. Okay, first up is just learning a few swipe gestures. If you swipe to the right, maybe you have a whole bunch of screens with applications on them. I've removed most of my applications, and I'll show you how I do that in just a second. But if you swipe from right to left, you'll finally get over to the app library, and that's a guardrail. You can't swipe anymore. If you swipe in the other direction from left to right, you finally get over to the day view, and you can't go any further than that. So just being able to swipe to the left and right and know what you're looking for is a really helpful swipe gesture. You can also open an application, say Photos, and if you want to get back to the home screen, all you do is just swipe up from the bottom, just like that, and you're done. And you can do that from any application. Just swipe and you're done, just like that. Super simple to always get back to the home screen. Another important swipe is opening Control Center. So if you just swipe from the top right corner down, you'll open up Control Center. And from here, you can do all different kinds of things. I just made a video on how to customize Control Center, and I'll include that in the link in the description below. But you can, adjust volume, the brightness of your screen. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can do. You can control music. You can customize this any way you want. But that's a powerhouse swipe to remember that just from the top right. Also, if you just swipe up from the bottom and stop like this, you'll see all the applications you have open. Now, if you're old school like me and you're used to having a PC, you felt like you always needed to close your applications before you opened other applications. You don't really need to do that on the iPad. But if you want to, you can swipe up and stop like that, and then you can just begin swiping away like that, and that actually closes an application. And every now and then, if you do have trouble with an application working, knowing that you can get in here and close the application will probably solve the problem, and then you can go back and open the application. Also, another handy swipe that you need to know is just swiping down from the top like this takes you back to your lock screen, if you ever need to get back there. And swiping from kind of the middle, kind of the top middle down will bring up the search. And you can search for any application that you want to search for. So we'll search for calendar, and we open up the calendar like that. Again, swipe down, we'll type in music, and we can open the music app like that. And that's just a few handy swipe gestures you need to know. All right, the next thing I want to talk to you about is just how to clean up your dock and your home screen. I really don't like a lot of applications on my home screen. I like the applications that I use down in my dock. And that way it just kind of keeps the clutter away. So if you tap and hold in the middle of your screen, if you want to get rid of these, you can just tap and hold till they're jiggling and pull them down like this and tap on them like that, and then slide over until you get to the app library, and then just drag them into one of the squares. It doesn't matter which square you drag them into, and then just let go. And now you've got a clean home screen. Now, the dock is where I like to keep the applications that I use the most. And I just put down in here and try to keep these organized in a way that makes sense to me. So if you want to add a application to the dock, you first add it to the home screen and then drag it into the dock. I like to keep the app library all the way on the right here, and if I just tap on that, it takes me to the app library. Again, when we remove those applications from the home screen, we weren't deleting them, we were just taking them off the home screen. They're all still over here, so you haven't deleted anything, and you can add back anything that you want whenever you want to do that. I like to keep the app library in my dock. If you don't see that, you can go into Settings, which is this app right here, go to Home Screen and App Library, and then make sure Show App Library in Dock is on. You may have it off, just tap it, it's on, and now when you go back, you'll see the app library in the dock. You can also arrange these in any way that you want. I like to keep my calendar over near my email. I like to keep messages over near my email. And I also like to keep FaceTime on here, my communication applications in the dock. So I'm just going to press and hold on that and tap Add to Home Screen. Now it's over here, and I'm going to tap again and hold, and I'm going to add this down here. So now I have my email, which is an application that I use called Hey Email, and I've got FaceTime, and I've got messages right here. I also noticed I've got 2 Safaris in the dock. I don't know why I have that. So I'm just going to delete one of those. I'm going to remove it from the home screen. And now I've got my Safari, my communication, my calendar. I also like to have reminders in there. And if I go into here, I'm going to find reminders. I'm going to tap and hold. I'm going to tap Add to Home Screen. And I'll tap and hold again until it's jiggling. And I'm going to bring that down here by the calendar. So now I've sort of cleaned up my dock, and I have only the applications in there that make sense to me. Of course, you can put any applications you want in there that make sense for you. And that's the whole idea around it. But the goal here is to just get rid of the clutter of the applications you don't really use. Again, you're not deleting them. They're always there over in the app library, and you can go back and get them if you need them. But if you don't, I always like to just sort of start out small, and then I find out what apps I'm using on a regular basis, and I drag them in. And that's how you clean up the dock. Hey, now is a great time to tell you about today's sponsor, Notion. Notion is a productivity application that, well, it just does it all. I've been using it for years. It's a note-taking app on steroids. It's a powerful database that's actually easy to use. It's a multifunctional calendar that connects not only with external calendars, such as your Google Calendar, but also connects to your custom Notion databases. But it's so much more. I use Notion to run what I call my Bolin operating system. I keep track of every important thing in my life and my family's life. I track all my home repairs and renovations, health data, including medications and doctor visits. I track my investments and all my financial information. I've even connected Notion to supporting applications like Readwise that allow me to simply highlight an article I'm reading on the web and save it to Notion for later retrieval. I've never seen anything like it. I've also used Notion to manage this YouTube channel. Keeping track of all the content I've produced over the years allows me to quickly answer your questions when you reach out to me via email. As the channel has grown over the years, it's incredibly helpful to know all the topics I've covered and when I covered them. Using Notion for this has proved invaluable. And now to make things even better, Notion has introduced Notion AI to help you build, use, and get the most out of this incredible application. You can literally chat about anything from brainstorming to pulling fast facts for personal or professional projects. Tap the assistant to do your research for you. And you can use the assistant to pull insights, information, and next steps from PDFs in your workspace without having to open the file. Powerful, cutting edge, and oh so helpful. Notion is also a collaborative tool, and this is where it really shines. In my full-time day job, my staff and I use it to catalog and manage our work. Working from the same database means working on the same page. So whether you're an individual or part of a team, you can use Notion's powerful yet easy-to-use features to handle the daily grind of business. Notion has a number of paid plan options, but best of all, a free plan where you can just see how incredible this application really is before diving into more robust options. Be sure to check out the link in the description below so you can get started using Notion. Thanks to our friends at Notion for their support of this channel. Okay, back to the video. You know, while I like to keep a clean home screen, I do like to have widgets on the home screen. Widgets provide information to me at a glance. And how you do that is you simply tap and hold, go to Edit, tap Add Widget, and I like to have my calendar up there, so I'm going to tap on that, and I'll kind of slide through here and see what widget size I like. I like this one because I like to see the date. And I'm going to add another widget. I'll tap Add Widget. I'm going to do the calendar again, but this time I'm going to use this so I can see what my appointments are. I know that seems a little redundant, but maybe I'll drag this down here. Maybe I'll drag this all the way down here. And you can drag these widgets wherever you want them. I also like to have a widget called Siri Suggestions. So I'm going to add widget, and I'm going to go down until I see Siri Suggestions. And if you'll notice, there's a list of applications you use regularly in here based upon what Siri thinks. And I'm going to tap Add Widget, and I'm going to bring that down here. And if you'll notice, that might be redundant for things that are in your dock. But see how it changed? Now it adds up things that are not in your dock. So now it's got photos there, and that's just a handy little way to get to different applications without having them in your dock. We'll add one more widget. I like to have my reminders in there so I can see what I've got going. And I'll tap Add That. And now I'll bring that down here. Actually, I think I'll move that one there, this one like this, and that like that. And if you'll notice, it's on Inbox, but if you tap and hold a widget, you can actually customize the widget. So I'm going to tap Edit Widget, and now I can choose what list I want. So I'm going to tap Scheduled. And now anything that's scheduled in my reminders is going to show up here. So the idea here is that you're able to just look at your iPad. You can see what calendar appointments you have. You can see what reminders are due today and upcoming reminders. You've got a list of Siri suggested applications that you can quickly get to. But the idea is that you can add in any widgets here that make sense for you. Next thing I want to talk to you about is how to customize your lock screen and home screen. If you take this swipe gesture we talked about at the beginning and you swipe down from the top, now you're at your lock screen, and you can tap and hold that, and now you can see I've added other home screen and lock screens in here. I've created a whole bunch of them, and you can too. It's very easy to create. If you swipe over till you see the plus, you can just tap on the plus, and then you can choose anything you have in here that comes up, and Apple provides a whole bunch of different screens that you can use. For example, I'll use this nice blue one down here, and I'm just going to tap on the color. And if you notice, I can swipe and change the tone of it, just like that. And I think I'm going to leave it right there. And you can tap and edit the way the clock looks too. You can make it bigger, smaller. You can change the font, maybe something like that. You can change the color if you want to. I'll change it back to what it was. And now you've got your lock screen set up here. And if you notice, you can add widgets over here. There's a bunch of widgets there now, so maybe you want to leave those in there. But if you don't, you can tap, and you can just begin removing those widgets that automatically populate with this lock screen. And then you can add back whatever widgets you want. I'm going to go back down to weather, and I'll tap because I like to see the weather there. And I'll tap it again, and I'll put it in twice so I can get the weather in my hometown. Then I'm going to tap on that, and I'm going to change locations to, say, Myrtle Beach. And now I've got a couple of widgets for weather that I like to see and a new color. And now I'm going to tap Add. And if you'll notice, it's creating it down here. And now you can see what it's going to look like. I'm going to set this as my wallpaper. If you want to customize your home screen, you can do it this way. You can tap on Customize Home Screen, and you can change the color or gradient for the home screen so you have something different. Or you can tap Pair, and it'll be the same as the lock screen. Of course, you can change it completely by adding a photo if you want to add a photo to your home screen. But I'm going to pair it, and I'm going to tap Done, and I'm going to tap on it, and then I'm going to slide up, and now we have a completely new look to the iPad. And that's how you create a new lock screen and home screen. Super handy. Makes your iPad feel fresh all the time, and I encourage you to get the hang of doing that. Okay, the next thing I want to talk to you about is just how to customize the Today view. Now, if you remember, if we swipe over to the right, you get to the app library, and that's kind of a guardrail on the right side. If you swipe over to the left, you get to the Today view. And when you get into the Today view, you'll notice things kind of get blurry behind it, and you get this column right here, and you can put widgets in that column. So we'll just customize that, and you can put anything you want in there. I've already got a few that came with my iPad, I think, when I originally set it up. But if you go over here and swipe so that you're there, and then you tap and hold, you can delete or remove any of these widgets that you want. I'll just go ahead and remove all of these, and then we'll add a few back like that. So now I'm going to tap, and I'm going to hit the plus up here in the top left corner, and I'm just going to choose some widgets. And I think I will go down. Again, I like to have a weather on there, and maybe I'll have that, and I'll add another one, and I'll maybe add the batteries, because I like to know how up to date my battery is. And then maybe I'll add another one of my calendar. I'll add that in there. And then maybe I'll add something from the Files app, because I occasionally get into the Files app. And we'll leave it like that. And so now I have the weather, my battery, calendar, and my Files app. And if you tap on it like that and you just want to quickly get over to something important that you've stored in the Today view, just swipe over, tap on it, and it takes you right to that image. In my case, in the Files app, if I go over here to a term paper I was working on, it'll pull it up in the Files app as well, and you can see that. Same thing for a Word document or anything else. So you can put whatever you want over in the Today view, and I think this is just one of those features that Apple has that's kind of got lost. I mean, I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, but I do think it's handy when you don't want to have things cluttered on your home screen to be able to just swipe over, pull it over on the left-hand side, and then get to whatever you want to get to, something like that. So it's just a handy way to keep things right at your fingertips. You know, one of the things that happens regularly is you don't keep your iPad up to date, and it's really important that you keep that software up to date. And how you do that is you go into Settings, you go into General, and you go into Software Update, and you tap on that, and then it'll tell you if your iPad is up to date. And as you can see here, it says iPad OS 18.2 is up to date. That's the most recent version that I'm working with right now. If there is an update available from Apple, you'll have the option to tap on it and update it, and I encourage you to do that. Make sure that your iPad is always up to date. It brings in security around your passwords and around the personal information you have, and it also brings in new features to the iPad. So don't neglect that. Make sure you keep your iPad up to date, and it's as simple as going into Settings, tapping on General and Software Update, and there you go. Pretty handy. You know, the last thing I want to talk about is the Apple Pencil. Now, I've made videos on how to use the Apple Pencil. There's lots of things you can do with it, but if you have one, I just thought, what's just the easiest and most simple way to get started using it? And of course, it's just using it with Apple Notes. So If you have your Apple Notes handy like this, you just tap on Notes, tap on New Note, and start writing. Just like that. And it's very simple. I think using Apple Notes to take notes with makes the most sense right out of the gate. There's a lot of note-taking apps you can find in the App Store, but Apple Notes is just free. It's on your iPad and it's ready to go. Additionally, if you have your iPad screen locked and you have a pencil and you need to take a quick note, you can just take your pencil and tap on the screen and it'll ask you, do you want to create an instant note? We're going to go to OK. And now you can start writing a note. Just like that. And now you're done. And when you swipe up, you have to log back into your iPad and you're good to go. And you can go back to your note just like that. Pretty handy. I think using the Apple Pencil with Apple Notes makes the most sense. And that's a place for you to get started and get the hang of using your pencil and the various functions that it has. Pretty simple. I know that's a lot in a pretty short period of time, but honestly, if you want to make the most out of using your iPad without getting frustrated, then these few tips will go a long way to achieve that. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.